External validation is when we are reliant on something outside of us to give us a feeling of approval, being enough, and we're always chasing it in one way or another. It could be happening completely unconsciously. So by becoming aware of it, you can start to rebuild your self-worth and really address a lot of the tensions that are coming up from this belief system that can operate under the surface and drive our actions.
Yeah, I remember a conversation we had 7 or 8 years ago when I started to work with you as my mentor in the beginnings. And then this was one of the first things you brought my awareness to. And then for me in this moment it was like, oh, it's just a belief system, like, okay, this is just this one sentence and I will fix this and everything is done. And then you told me, oh, there are many layers to this. And then after 8 years, I can say, oh, yeah, there are many layers to this. It's really, it was, and still, there are still things going on. It's really hardwired, or it was really hardwired in my system, into my system. And with all the practices we are sharing and with all the things we do with mind body connections, it's really astonishing to see how many physical symptoms and pains can really be connected to this little thing, like the feeling that I'm not enough.
Mm.
And this goes really deep, and it comes with continuous practice that you can see it. In the beginning, maybe you feel like, oh no, I'm not believing this. Maybe you do, but you're not aware of it right now. Just look a bit closer, watch your actions, observe yourself, and then maybe you can see what is happening. And maybe this is the tricky part, to really be open to look at it and not just push it right away, or thinking like, oh, I just fixed this little sentence, I'm not enough, and put another thought pattern around it, because this is not working. The nervous system is not believing that.
Mm.
So you have to put in the work.
Mm.
It's just my my intro
Yeah.
to this thing.
Yeah, there's a question that I often ask to help expose this, and it's not to, there's no shame in any of this, because like often it comes from like early childhood development when we received some sort of external validation from our caregivers. And it's so it can happen in as simple as, like, let's say our parents like always affirmed when we did something, got good marks at school, or won something in sport, or, did something that they approved of. And then they went, good boy, good girl. So then, like, as a little kid, we want to be a good boy or a good girl. And then we get negatively affirmed when we do things that weren't approved of. Bad boy, bad girl, like this sort of thing. And we internalize it. And then that internalization then carries forth on and on like a program into adulthood. And there's nothing wrong with, external validation, but if we seek that as our only means of validation, we don't have a self-approving program. We haven't learned how to do that or the importance of that. We don't have a
Yeah,
strong sense of self, then it can really cause a lot of chaos inside the body. And
yeah,
a question that I often ask is, to help expose that, is who would you be without that? I had to
yeah,
really ask myself that when I was, because I felt quite insecure in myself for a long time into adulthood. And so I was always trying to prove myself. I noticed that that happened through my sporting achievements. Like, really, there's a little kid inside who just wanted mum and dad to go, like, we love you. But I had internalized it as, it is by what I do, not who I am. And so that layer of my being was kind of never touched. It was always through the actions that I did. So I strived and strived and strived and pushed. And, that started in sports, and then and academia. And then it turned into how I trained in the gym, because then I wanted to be validated by my external appearance. And all of these things. All of these things are wonderful things to focus on. And yet they can be really detrimental when we are defined by them. So that's why I asked that question. Who would you be without that? Because it's that external thing defining who we are. And things are finite in the body. We don't have them forever.
Yeah, that's true. And this question can be very challenging because at that moment you're asking these questions, you're really going into the layer of, okay, who I am. And you are asking the question, is the personality I think I am really who I want to be? And then the game becomes really fun because you can choose whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
And not longer be defined by your past or what you thought you have to be.